Hello, and welcome to the Tai Chi Notebook podcast. My name is Graham Barlow. In this episode, I'm talking to Seymour Yang, a long-time acquaintance of mine who is also something of a legend in the Jiujitsu world, where he goes by the name Meerkatsu and is famous for his BJJ artworks, which get turned into beautiful t-shirts, rash guards and gis. Seymour is also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and teaches at the Hodja Gracie Academy in South Hertfordshire. So it's no surprise that in this episode we're highly focused on the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We're talking right after we both attended the same Jiu-Jitsu seminar up in Stafford with Priit Mihkelson. So that's where we start our conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Seymour Yang, hello, how are you?
Hello Graham, I'm fine, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me onto your lovely podcast. And
no problem.
We've met many times, of course, and corresponded even longer. So our connections go back a few years, don't they?
They do, and in fact we bumped into each other just a couple of days ago, didn't we? At a seminar by Priit Mihkelson,
that's right,
the defensive jiu-jitsu master. How did you find it?
I didn't know what to expect because, you know, you and I have both watched his videos. I don't know if you've attended one of his seminars before.
No,
and I've watched all his Globetrotter seminars, but that's a different format. His Globetrotter seminars are 1 hour long. They have a very definite slot, and he tries to pack as much in.
Yeah.
He set his own agenda. It was a 5 hour thing, and that, believe it or not, listeners, is part one of a 2-part seminar weekend. The first part was 5 hours. I wasn't there for the second part, but honestly, 5 hours was more than ample for me to really get a good understanding of what he was trying to show us, which was the mini baby bridge, which I did a bit of research for my write-up, and he hasn't posted any videos of it anywhere, not even snippets. You have to go onto his pay subscriber membership. It's quite canny. You have to go into his membership Defensive BJJ website to get the lowdown on the latest developments of his thing, and it's worth it, I think. I don't know how you found it, but I found it sort of clicked with me after about an hour of drilling, and I was thinking, okay, this really works. How odd.
It's one of those
weird position.
It's one of those things that I thought to myself, because I was delayed getting there because of the M6 problems.
Oh yeah.
And I missed like the first 10 minutes of him talking, so I missed the explanation of what we'd be doing, and I just got the by the time I got changed and ready, I got the kind of right, let's just give it a go bit. So I was saying to my partner, Ben,
did you not get the bit where he explained? Well, he first said, look, we're gonna do back escapes or back defense, and so we're gonna start with underhook bottom side, and this is the baby bridge, and he just showed a brief demonstration.
Yeah,
and that was it. That was all that was probably where you entered.
Yeah, I just kind of missed the brief demonstration, so I didn't quite know what we were doing, and it took me a while. But because he basically only taught 2 things in the whole seminar, which was the joke. I've only taught.
Were you there for day 2 as well?
Yeah, day 2 was the same 2 things.
I kind of didn't miss anything, but I probably did miss a lot.
So day 2 was how to shut down people retaking your back when they failed, and they do that Marcelo Garcia sort of go belly down and then flip you round and try and take your back again. Right. It was how to shut all that down.
Okay.
So it was the same. You know, the answer of how do you shut it down is the same 2 things as you did in your day. So it was just more practice of the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing.
I really enjoyed it. I think next time I'll definitely go for the full weekend and prepare properly. And I saw people just taking videos, and he obviously doesn't mind as long as it's for personal consumption. And I might do that next time, because there's just a lot of. He goes off on a tangent a bit, and there's a lot of information. And when people ask questions, he gives answers. That's actually the more interesting bit, because he doesn't necessarily think like you and I do as a newbie coming into this technique. He thinks like he does, so he won't necessarily anticipate the kind of problems that we're having. So the only way, like you said, the only way to find out is to ask questions, even if it's a dumb one, like, what if he body triangles me, which was my question, and he just showed an answer, and I thought, oh, okay.
yeah, it was good. I asked a couple of questions. One of the questions I asked was, I couldn't. My partner was having problems doing it, and I, not knowing enough about it, I couldn't fix what he was doing wrong. So I just said to Priit, "How do I fix this?" And look, I'm choking him every time. And then he just said, "Right, public challenge then," and then drew me out to the front and said, "Try and choke me."
Is that the one where I took a photo of you?
Yes. Yeah. Failing to choke him. Yeah.
Shame as a black belt, you couldn't choke Priit out.
The answer is just do it better, isn't it? That's normally the answer.
Yeah.
Or actually do what I'm telling you. Don't not do what I'm telling you.
Also more precisely.
There were
That's the thing.
A lot of subtle
you have
details.
to be very precise. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I would ever pick up on all the subtle details that he did on a video. So going to see him, I'd really recommend it, because there's like just a shoulder lift here, a slight turn there,
or him coming around and just sort of randomly popping your knee there and then walking off, and you're thinking, why did you do that? Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's very good at just looking at the situation and going, just move your knee, and then it just changes, you know. Yeah,
it's a different. It's got a very good analytical eye, and it's a rare gift to have that level of detail. The other person who I admire a lot, who I noticed had a really good analytical eye, is Dan Lukart. I don't know if you come across Trumpet Dan on his online forays. He's famous for being a brown belt who was obsessed with Roger Gracie and kept posting Roger breakdowns on YouTube, and they were very uncannily accurate and very good breakdowns of Roger Gracie's matches when Roger Gracie was at the height. And that, at the time, that was the only way to understand what Roger was doing, because Roger wasn't doing interviews. He certainly didn't do BJJ Fanatics or anything else. So Trumpet Dan was your go-to guy for your expert Roger analysis. And then Dan did a one year he did the Worlds or the Pans commentary. You know, the sort of the guy who's the expert. Going, he's doing this. I couldn't believe how fast he was at predicting what the guy would do next, what he was trying to do, how technical his knowledge was. I think he had got his black belt by then, but nobody heard of, unless you were really into the whole Jiu-Jitsu blogger and Reddit forum scene, you didn't really know who Trumpet Dan was. But since then we've become online friends, and I've sort of talked to him quite a bit about various other things. And he's kind of fallen off the radar a bit in terms of BJJ. He's still running his academy, but I keep begging him, do more instructionals, do more breakdowns, do more commentaries, because you have a talent. And he happens to be a teacher anyway. He's a music teacher.
Right, yeah.
But just the main point being is that there are people out there with a really quite perceptive eye. And I'd say it's a skill and also a talent. Priit's one of them, Dan Lukart, and a couple of others that you must have come across where they just... My old instructor, Nick, you know, rest in peace, he was like that as well. He would watch a match, immediately know what was happening, even if it was a new technique, bring it back to the academy, goes, I saw this match and this is what this guy was doing, this is what this guy did, and this is how I adapted it. And you just go, how do you do that? Because you have to like drill things into my head like an idiot before I finally get it, and maybe a few years later go, oh, now I get it. So I think that's a rare talent.
Yeah, some people are just very good at that sort of stuff. And being able to communicate it as well, that's another skill, I find. There are people that can do things, but they can't explain it. And I think Priit's got...
i.e. many seminars that we used to go to in the past.
That
we paid 50 quid for, going, what did I learn? Well, I got a photo selfie with the guy. Not naming names, but, you know. Actually, one of the best seminars I went to, you must have been to a Hoist Gracie seminar. He was one of the first guys to come to the UK and actually consistently do seminars all around the country. Yeah. I guess that's how he earned his living as well. But at the time, he was still a big name enough from his UFC days that he got a lot of people at his seminars. People joke about it now because he used to hand out stripes and blue belts and things, which slightly detracted from the quality of his seminars. Yeah. But that being said, his seminars were always ace, beautifully explained. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, you know, from the source at its finest. He'd take his time to go through every pairing and correct them and talk to them. Any question you threw him, he had an answer for. Very genial manner. Fantastic fella, and I still stand by that. Hoist Gracie is one of the better seminar instructors I've ever seen. He's not going to show you anything flashy. He's not going to show you berimbolos and weird stuff. It's not going to show you any Priit stuff because, you know, I'm sure it's not on his radar. But he's going to show you Gracie Jiu-Jitsu as it was against somebody trying to punch your head in.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. And I mean, you're wearing one of your T-shirts now, but for people that don't know, you are a mighty name in the Jiu-Jitsu, gi and rash guard world, aren't you?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, your brand's well, it's the only brand that well, it's not the only one I know, but it's the one that I kind of think of first, which is Meerkatsu. And what I found funny was at the seminar, you were just dressed in like a bog standard white t-shirt and blue shorts with no logo, and all the people around you were wearing your gear.
It was like a weird dual fan convention with people who were there to see Priit, and by the way, I know Meerkatsu's turning up, so I'll wear some of his stuff as well, or maybe they wear that all the time. But yeah, that's kind of a very sweet and lovely thing, a sort of byproduct of my love for BJJs, that I turn up to competitions and seminars, and I see a lot of my designs out there in the wild. And here's a funny story. I once went to a seminar, and I won't embarrass the fella, and I won't say what seminar it was, but it's quite a famous black belt. And I turned up because I'm a fanboy of the black belt, and I got chatting to somebody who was next to me, and he was wearing a gi I had designed. And I said, "Oh, nice gi, mate," because that's my joke. I say, "That's a nice rash guard," and the joke is they know who I am, and they go, "Yeah, I know the artist," you know. But he said to me, "Yeah, this artist is awesome. He's called Meerkatsu, and his stuff is really awesome." I'm going, and then it dawned on me that he didn't know who I was. He just thought some random person attending the seminar, and his wife, who was standing next to him, was nudging him in the elbow, going, you know, Roger.
It's him.
His name's not Roger, but you know, right. And he's going, "Yeah, in a minute, love." And he was talking to me, because I've got at least 3 of his rash guards and blah blah blah. And when he has a sale on, I try and get one of those. And she goes, "It's him. It's Meerkatsu." And he looked at me, then he looked at his wife and went, "Oh," and it was the most sweet and lovably, touchingly awkward moment in my jiu-jitsu
that's
stories.
Perfect,
so that was a nice memory. And as I say, a byproduct. But yeah, I for my sins, I do illustrate, I draw, and I put that onto things that people can wear in jiu-jitsu. For me, the jiu-jitsu and the arts has always been together. So if it's logos for friends or academies, I'll also do t-shirts, rash guards, gis, anything, usually for my own brand, Meerkatsu, but I do commissions for other companies. Currently I'm doing a lot of work. I used to do a lot of work for Tatami and Kings, some of the bigger brands. For something, just before lockdown, something sort of changed, and I think they were focusing on other things. But that's fine. You know, no hard feelings. I'm happy working on my own brand. And then recently, in the past year, a lot of smaller companies have started approaching me, and they're all female-only brands. At least 3 female brands who are marketing only athletic wear for females in the jiu-jitsu scene.
Okay.
And there might be a 4th one as well. And I just thought it's a really interesting illustration of the fact that the women's jiu-jitsu scene has grown enough that they can sustain not 1 company, but 3 or 4 companies, albeit small stores, you know, operated by a single owner or maybe a husband and wife team.
Yeah.
But that's extraordinary, and that shows you the growth of jiu-jitsu. That
but a lot of your designs do feature females sort of beating up overly muscled males, don't they? Like I'm thinking of the Heavenly Footlock one with the devil being footlocked by a sort of is it sort of a traditionally, it's a woman wearing a traditional Japanese outfit, is that right?
Yeah, so the story to that series of artwork started off, I think 2012. I was approached by Tap Cancer Out. They had just started as a charitable organisation. I don't know if you've come across them.
Yeah.
They're based in America, and John, who runs it, he has a passionate drive to raise money for cancer charities, and he wanted to merge his love with jiu-jitsu with his passion for fundraising for cancer. So he started Tap Cancer Out, and they actually were originally called Tap Out Cancer, and Tap Out, the brand, threatened to sue them because you're not allowed to use the word tap out within a fight wear scenario.
Yeah.
So that made big headlines across the forums. I was a big sort of forum user back in the day, and he was sort of saying, "Guys, help me out. I've got a legal letter from." Anyway, they actually had an agreement saying, "Look, you know, we didn't want to bully you or anything. We just don't want you to use tap. Can you not change it?" And he changed it to Tap Cancer Out, and they said, "That's fine. We're happy with that." So they actually gave him his blessing, and I think they gave him a little bit of startup support.
Yeah.
So he's been running really successful tournaments, and all the profits from those tournaments go towards his charity. And he does an end of year accounts, and he shows, "I've donated this amount to this established registered charity." And either he approached me or I sort of just commented on something that he posted saying, dude, you know, you're doing really good stuff, well done. And then he said, do you do drawings? I said, yeah. So I said, look, you know, let's do a t-shirt or something. So I did that was the first time I drew a Japanese female submitting a demon using the in that case it was an omoplata. And that was the beginning of the geisha, the heavenly series of drawings. And I think it's still his best-selling t-shirt. He still raises quite a few thousands of dollars every year through the sales of those t-shirts. So that was back in 2012. So every year since then, I've drawn a new version of a Japanese lady defeating a demon, and then make of it what you will in terms of the symbolism and the story behind it. But for me, I just like drawing it. You know, it's become a signature piece. So I'll draw one every year, sometimes 2 a year, just because it's a not infinite, but it's a consistently winning concept, if you know what I mean. Go with what works.
It's a winning combination, isn't it?
I've got better and better at drawing them because I'm not getting funny, but drawing a demon is no problem. I can draw it with my eyes closed, but drawing a Japanese lady wearing traditional costume, not necessarily geishas, but they're of that sort of a tradition. Just call it traditional costume with the traditional hair. It's very, very hard. Okay. Especially when you're trying to get them to do jiu-jitsu techniques, because if you look at videos of women who are dressed in traditional costumes, it's very stiff.
Yes.
It's meant to be minimal movements, especially with the dancing, with the fan work. It's not meant to be for fighting, so I've got to kind of translate that without making it look ridiculous into a fighting posture. So that's the challenge. So again, I do it because it's a challenge.
Yeah.
People may not realise that.
I think
in some cases I've been quite successful in making it still look authentically traditional Japanese, ladylike, and bringing the jiu-jitsu in. And in other cases I've probably played a lot with the artistic license. No one's really complained, apart from you get the odd comment saying, why did you draw geishas, Seymour? Did you know they were prostitutes? Why are you bringing this disrepute into the jiu-jitsu world? And I don't know if they're trolling me or if they're genuinely serious about it. I mean, I'm sure people are aware of the history of geishas without necessarily just having read Memoirs of a Geisha. But if they're not, then they can at least appreciate the aesthetic beauty of the costume, the traditionalness, the genteel demeanour. That's what I want to bring across.
I mean, to me,
to bring jiu-jitsu into disrepute.
I just look at it and think if it's Japanese culture, because jiu-jitsu is based from Japan, isn't it? So that's the reason I thought it was all connected.
I suppose you could argue it's a very visual way of connecting our sport with something aesthetic that you can wear. And it's no coincidence that the vast majority of fightwear brands rely on Japanese culture, traditional culture. Probably in Japan they look at it and just go, God, that's so cheesy. Why are they drawing all these samurais and demons?
But if you look at Japan, it's full of knockoffs of Western culture. So I mean, you know, just look, all the shops they're all based on the Western designs and things, but slightly altered. You know, so
I think that's changing. The perception that Japan tries to copy the West and do it badly with bad English, that's probably still occurs. But from what, because I've not visited Japan, but obviously I've spoken to a lot of people who live there. I think there is the fashion, the art, the subculture scene has moved on from that. They're now they've taken things like hip hop and street culture and that have made it their own, and they have done for the past 15, 20 years. So now there's a very distinct style that's Japanese, and you can't really say it's just trying to mimic the West. It's their own sort of style, and I think that's true of fashion and art.
I mean, my point was really that the appropriation goes both ways. It's not,
for sure. Yeah, definitely.
It's not omnidirectional.
I'm blatantly culturally appropriating Japanese culture and a little bit of Chinese as well. I can at least claim lineage to Chinese because I am born of Chinese descent. My parents are from China, but I was born in the UK.
Well, I'm looking forward to your Kung Fu
well, I've done Monkey King.
Series.
I've done lots of Monkey King stuff. I did that before with the geisha stuff. People
forget. I mean, I really like the orangutan one you did. That was good, talking about apes and things.
Yep,
that's a nice one.
Apes feature strongly. They're just like really fun to draw, and for some reason it's a popular animal in the jiu-jitsu circuit, isn't it?
Yeah. As soon as you put a gi on an ape, it kind of looks right, doesn't it?
I mean, the bitter irony for you is that due to your schooling and your lineage, you can't wear any of my stuff because it's all, you have to wear the brand.
No,
stuff, no,
I have to.
or
Yes.
is that a misconception?
No, it's not a misconception. I'm in the organisation, and I have to wear the organisation's brand. But I only have to wear it, like, you know, when I'm at the proper school. If I go somewhere else, I don't need to wear it, you know.
Of course, yeah, unless you're taking a group photo and you're representing the club.
Yeah, in which case, quick change.
Well, you sort of, it's. I don't know what the deal is because obviously we're at my club where I teach. We're a Roger Gracie affiliate, and he sells his uniforms, and it's not enforced, but it's kind of not encouraged to just rock up with a pink gi. You should be making an effort to wear the branded stuff because, yeah. Let's be honest, the affiliation makes a bit of money selling this stuff. So, you know, why deny that opportunity? I totally get it as a business part.
There's other reasons too. It's part of the feeling part of a team ethos. Like it's like school uniform, right? Like schools insist on a uniform so that everyone is equal. Whereas if they didn't insist on uniform, some people would have really nice clothes and other people wouldn't be able to afford really nice clothes, and it would all look a bit mismatched. And I guess part of the logic.
Yeah, that analogy falls apart when you're paying £90 a month membership, and you know, if someone wants to rock up with a £300 shoyu roll gi, I'm sure it's fine compared to the guy who also pays £90 membership a month, rocks up with a second-hand tatami gi. I don't see any envy there whatsoever. If you're a kid on welfare, obviously, you know, you see a kid wearing, you know, the latest Skechers trainers, and you can wear third-hand hand-me-downs from your big brother. There's obviously going to be that disparity.
Yeah, sure, but
I get it with the sort of the look, the apparent, the visual. Obviously, being a visual person myself, I get it that you want to run a club where you are recognised for your branding, your patches, and wherever you go, competitions, events, seminars, you're recognised as the team. And it makes the owner and instructor proud to see that.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and defend uniform policies. It's not my bag.
I've got my Roger gi, and when Roger comes down, I'll wear it, or one of his black belts comes down, I'll wear it. When I'm teaching and there's no one else around, I'll just wear my whatever, you know, worn out Meerkatsu purple gi or whatever.
I really like your new steampunk one, the new rash card you got as well. That's great.
Which one was that? The
steampunk.
Yeah. I don't know how that came about. I just decided to draw it one day. That was many years ago. I did it as a T-shirt, then it became a patch, and then I thought, well, because I often go back to old drawings and redo them because I don't know if you look at your written work or some of yours, a bit cringy when you look at stuff you've made 7 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
How did people not call me out on how badly that was done?
Yeah.
And I feel like I have to right some wrongs. For example, and usually it's a technical thing rather than an artistic thing. Like the first version of the steampunk, she was doing a triangle, a body triangle, but I had the legs all wrong. So I had the body triangle facing the wrong way that you would do a rear naked choke on.
Okay.
A couple of people mention it at the time, but you always get that. You get your jiu-jitsu nerds who point things out, like the little fingers in the wrong place, but I always say, give me a bit of artistic license, guys. But then it bugged me ever since for years and years, and so probably almost 10 years later I decided to redraw it, and it became the rash guard. Now I'm happy with that iteration.
Yeah, it's nice. I really like it. I'll have to buy one now. No, I've done this talk.
Well, you can get the poster of it. You can put it up in your nice study there. You don't have to get
okay.
Since you'll get very little use of it as an official of the Red Army.
Unless I keep going to Priit seminars. So where'd you get the inspiration then for these all your different designs and everything?
Well, if it's a commission, I usually rely on someone telling me what to do.
Oh,
sometimes I'll get a commission where they'll give me hints of what they want to see, but they're very open. Like the brand where I was working, the women's brand, they weren't quite sure. They were looking at Spanish designs first of all, and I, for some reason, I suggested the kitsune, which is a female goddess, Japanese female goddess disguised as a fox. And I thought that was a very nice one to draw because it gives me a good excuse to use all the cliches and stereotypes from Japanese culture, lots of cherry blossoms, you know, lots of Japanese costumes, that sort of thing, without crossing over into my my Heavenly series. So she seemed to like that idea, and it came out really well. So that was really good. So in that case, sometimes it's a collaboration. When it's stuff from my own brand, as I say, I do carry on certain series. So the Heavenly series are all the Japanese ladies versus demons. Although I'm the latest version of that, which hasn't been released yet. It's coming out later. I'm taking that even further, rather than drawing it in my usual style, which is quite vector oriented. You're probably familiar with the difference between vector drawing and raster drawing. Vector drawing is a very clean, clinical style of rendering art, and I've moved away to be a bit more pen and inky, which I went totally the other side when I drew the blue biro pen version of that, which is available now. But the next version I've moved more towards referring to manga, like black and white, good old black and white manga that's like that thick, but like this, that size, and you flick through the pages. So I've drawn a version of the Heavenly series where I've used lots of half-tone dots and lots of glitchy elements. It's not neat, it's not tidy, and I've applied that onto a rash guard, and I'm quite excited about that. It's very black and white. It's very, very, like the page of a manga book. So I've dabbled with that kind of style in the past. Manga is a very, very hard style to draw. You have to dedicate many, many years of practice to drawing that specific style of artistry, which is not my forte, but I've got better at it. So this one will be the result. So when that comes out, I'll give you a buzz and I can show you, because that's pretty cool, I think.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
But apart from that, I'll sort of rehash other things, like when any permutation of an ape will do. Chimpanzees, orangutans. There's a broad slight hint of an influence from Planet of the Apes, like the original 70s stuff, not the stuff, because that was what I was a fan of as a child. Anything Planet of the Apes. So I brought that into my work. So I've lost count of gorillas, orangutans, chimpanzees. I've drawn macaques. I'm running out of species, to be honest.
I think what you need to do is
squirrel monkeys, mandrills, of course. How can I forget mandrills, baboons? I've drawn them all in a jiu-jitsu setting.
What you need to keep going back to 70s TV, because I think that is the
Buck
ultimate.
Rogers, how about that? Buck Rogers, Star Trek.
Of that Kung Fu series with David Carradine in, the Shaolin monk who was wandering around America. I reckon there's something in that.
I have an interesting, because obviously my parents are Chinese. I'm Chinese, and the only Asian faces you see on TV are a couple of bad villains with long moustaches, right? And David Carradine, who's not Kung Fu was massive. Kung Fu, the series, was massive in the 70s, wasn't it? You imagine, I'm like 6 or 7 or 8, and I wanted to watch it because you don't understand the cultural misappropriation being done at the time. But my parents were horrified that a white person was playing a Chinese guy.
Yeah.
And then his master was like some guy with weird white eyes, and it was just a horrible misrepresentation of Chinese culture. And they banned me from watching it, although I did sneak a few viewings in. So it was always been a bugbear of that, and I've carried that on a bit. I've always thought that was, maybe I've learnt from their interpretation of it that it's not a good thing. I know a lot of people, but then I was addicted to something like The Water Margin and Monkey, which was actually Japanese TV misappropriating Chinese
TV,
with badly English dubbing, and I loved it at the time. I didn't discriminate; I just loved it. So
me too. I loved Monkey and Water Margin. That was great.
It's so good, and yet if they showed it now, kids will just be going, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, exactly.
It's like retro computer games, isn't it? It's like Pac-Man and all the Defender and all those really
the classics.
They're not even 8-bit. What are they? 2-bit gaming, Pong.
Yeah. I think they might have got to 16-bit. Give them some credit.
You and me growing up playing these games is thinking, wow, that was the best. And you show your kid, and they're going, Is this the what is this a joke? What?
I mean, I spent hours of my life playing Elite, which was like
on the BBC Micro.
Yeah, vector line drawings just in space and
like a wireframe thing going.
Just a wireframe, yeah. Exactly. Going at that speed.
Did you play the adventure games that were just text only?
I did more than that. I wrote one.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I wrote one that got published.
Really?
Yeah.
How old were
and
you
here's the 13. And
no way.
Yeah.
Which one did you write?
So the funny thing is, it was called The Philosopher's Stone.
You didn't write that.
I wrote that.
I played it.
No.
Shit. Are you like some computing genius? I didn't know about this. I know you had obviously a link to computing.
It was on a BBC. Is that like a BBC game? Or
did you write it in BASIC?
BASIC, yeah.
Wow.
And it was published. So it's called The Philosopher's Stone. It was published by Potter Programs. You seen the connection here, right? And it was all about wizards, and it had an elf in it who stole things, like Dobby.
Gee.
I mean, there's a lawsuit waiting to happen right there, isn't there?
Oh my goodness! If only that company was still alive. And
yeah. But I mean, you can look me up on the there's a database online of computer games. And
definitely played that.
Have you?
I was about to slag off text-based adventure games now, but no, basically, I spent hours on it, and the only reason is because you have to be very accurate in your reply. Sometimes it's yes or no, but sometimes you have to not quite write a full sentence, but it has to be perfectly written.
Yeah.
And then you resort to computer and video games, all the cheat codes in there, and try to go, oh, I should have wrote the instead of a, and you know.
Yeah. That's the problem with those games. It's like get torch, and if you say pick up torch, it doesn't work. You have to type in get torch.
I tell you what, though, I think what text-based games did was fire up the imagination in a way that gaming doesn't do now. There's no way you can do that now.
No.
I was in that cave. I was holding that lamp. I was meeting that elf, and I had my version in my head. And in a way, I didn't want to see the cover art because that would have spoiled things. Because I had my version in my head. That was the beauty of it. But yeah, I can't believe you wrote. Did you write any other stuff? Was that your one and only epic?
That was my one and only. I wrote it, and then the company survived for about 3 or 4 months after they published my game, and then they
must have got a bit of royalties, surely.
So I got like a bit of royalties. Yeah, it was like it was like £100 probably, but at the time when I was 13 in 1980, whenever it was.
Did you tell your mates at school like, yeah, this is my one?
Yeah, they didn't believe me.
Damn.
They were just
I definitely played that game. That's amazing.
How could you have played my game? That's weird.
I'm pretty sure I played that game. I definitely remember when as soon as you said Philosophers, I think, yes, I played that one. But yeah,
you might be mixing me up with someone who made a really good game that was much more popular than mine.
Not called Philosophers something though. I definitely remember that one.
The Philosopher's Stone, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely remember that. Yeah, I'm not confusing it with J.K. Rowling's rip-off either.
I mean, obviously she took my ideas. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
That's uncanny because even at the time, it's not like you copied Lord of the Rings or something. It's
No, I literally got the dictionary and I flicked through it until I found some interesting words, and just the words Philosopher's Stone were in the dictionary. I was like, oh,
unbelievable!
I'll have that. You know,
unbelievable. That is fascinating. You need to appear on one of those shows that talk that like the anniversary of the BBC microcomputer, and then tell your story, because that's just really cool.
If I could just have 5% of her wealth, that would be fine.
Oh, man, yeah. So now I feel like it's not about me. This podcast could be about you now. So I think
I feel like we're drifting.
Nascent computer game writing career.
We're drifting off topic very long. Let's get back to Jiu-Jitsu. So tell me about your club that you've got.
Okay, so when I got my black belt in 2015. The first thing I wanted to do, because I want to start my own club. I don't know what possessed me. It's just felt like, because I did Japanese Jiu-Jitsu many years before, and I ran my own club then, and I really enjoyed the teaching part of it.
Yeah. And
I left that scene as a black belt, first or second degree, I can't remember, because I didn't enjoy the training part of it, because the training in my mind took me very, very further and further away what I thought was Jiu-Jitsu was about, which was like wrist locking and hurting people's arms if they were trying to mug me in the street. And at the higher black belt levels, it's all about, well, it's katas and more obscure katas involving weapons, which which I didn't really enjoy. I thought it was getting a bit too esoteric. Is that the right word?
Or art for art's sake, you know.
Yeah, more art than martial.
You're preserving tradition rather than doing something that's actually useful.
Right, thank you. So that would be the correct word to describe it. So I kept that thought in my head, but I had this club and I was running and I was teaching. These students were coming through the ranks and relying on me, but at the same time the only training I was doing was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I started off at Carlson Gracie when they were in the Boiler Room in London. That was in 2003. And then I found Eddie Cohn. He started up a club in Wanstead, East London, so I started there. And it wasn't until I moved house to Boreham Wood that I joined Nick's Mill Hill Club. But I knew Nick from when we were doing Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, because he was the same thing. He ran his own club in Mill Hill, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu organisation. He was quite a high-level black belt then. But he, on the side, he was going to Rogers, so almost our paths were the same.
Yeah.
So, and we'd always kept in touch because I knew that he was interested in grappling and submission wrestling and what we now know to be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, although we all called it Gracie Jiu-Jitsu at the time.
Oh, it's weird.
And then when I heard that he'd set up a club in Mill Hill, I thought, because we were going to move house, my wife and I thought, well, let's look for a house at least within easy commuting distance from Mill Hill, because that's the only club I want to go to now. Because I liked Nick at the time as a Japanese Jiu-Jitsu instructor, and I'm sure I'm going to like him as a BJJ instructor. And that was in, it must be about 16 years ago. So when I got my black belt in 2015 from Nick, I thought, well, it just seems natural for me to start up a club. There's no Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in my little town, Boreham Wood. So I just bought some roll-out mats, hired a leisure centre room, and advertised. And I was inundated. I had like 25 people turned up on open first session.
Nice.
Loads of parents with kids. I mean, it's a really good base. So I did that for about 3 years, and then 2015 will take me up to 2020. So 4 years. I'd already promoted someone up to blue belt, and I was thinking about who was ready for purple belt. And then obviously COVID lockdown happened. I had to close the club, and we was out for a long time, as you know, officially anyway, as you know full well. The clubs were shut for a long time. So in the meantime, I didn't know what to do. I just sort of thought, well, let's just do press-ups at home. But luckily, I had friends from Mill Hill. Their husband and wife and team, and they were in a similar boat, but they have space in the garage. They put some mats down. They said, "Do you want to come down, be part of a closed training group, just you and I?" So I said, yeah, definitely. I'm missing my jiu-jitsu. So we've been doing that, and we haven't stopped, to be honest. That's now my go-to area for when I good spar. So every Monday we go and train together.
Oh, that's
We've
great.
been doing that since lockdown. But for me,
I'm
during
envious.
lockdown, during lockdown, I was close to just saying, I don't think I really want to open up the club anymore. It's as a part-time amateur club twice a week. It's a lot of hassle, a lot of paperwork, a lot of dealing with stuff. I just hooked up with Sandeep Burmi, who's a black belt on the Roger. And he used to pop into my club every now and again, and he would say, "Hey Seymour, how's it going?" And I said, "What are your plans for when you reopen?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I might not even reopen. It's such a hassle. It's expensive. Not a huge amount of money in it." He goes, "Well, I've got this idea, Seymour," and he proposed the idea to reopen, but under a Roger Gracie as an affiliate. We'd make it 7 days a week. He would quit his job and become the full-time instructor there, but I would still have my slot as the twice-a-week instructor on the times that I could usually do, because I'm so busy I can't usually teach full-time. And it sounded perfect, and that's the way it's been since July 1 year ago. So in July it will be 1 year, our 1 year anniversary of officially opening as Roger Gracie South Hearts. And I love it there. It's great. The vibe is good. It's some of the legacy members. Well, quite a few actually, probably about half the number from my Boreham with BJJ days. And the rest is made up of brand new white belts who joined the moment we officially opened. They all stampeded in, going, "Oh, thank goodness, jiu-jitsu clubs are open. I've been wanting to do this for years." And for the past year, we've been seeing them progress amazingly well. The difference between training at a club that is full-time and training in a scouts hall twice a week is immense in terms of the students' progress and their ability to make techniques work, not just in sparring but in competition. It's amazing. So hats off to Sandeep for taking that project on and taking it to another level. And
So that's because of they've got access to more classes and they train more often.
Access to more classes, access to 2 black belt instructors and a brown belt instructor. But essentially, it's a lot of the guys who compete. They train probably 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And the people who see it more as a part-time hobby, they still turn up 3 times a week. We very rarely get people who are once-a-weekers. I mean, I used to be a once-a-weeker back in the day when Mill Hill was just 3 times a week. I couldn't make the other day, so I just used to turn up once a week, and I was happy with that. But nowadays, if you want to sort of keep up with everyone, it's not. It depends on your age and injuries and stuff. But if you're 22, right, and you're in a job, you got a bit of disposable income, a lot of disposable time. You know, you don't have family and kids. What else are you going to do? You know, it's you either go out all the time or go training. These guys go training. We've got a lot of young guys who they love it. That's their gym. They're real gym rats. So they're there every day. Man, and they're catching up fast.
Yeah.
Same. Thank God for Priit though. Thank God for Priit's stuff for saving me against athletic young dudes.
Yeah, they're a nightmare. We've got lots of them at our place too. For some reason, I find a lot of the people at our place seem to be like they're personal trainers. So that not only are they young and fit, they're incredibly strong and know a lot about the human body and how to bend it in different ways because that's what they do for a living, you know. And I sort of rock up, you know, 50, almost 51, and have to kind of survive for a round against each of them in a row. It's terrible.
I tell you what though, because I'm 53 this year, so if you sort of go back in time to when you were 20 something and said, can you imagine doing a very, very full contact martial art where the potential for injury is very high at 50 something? Do you think you'd be doing that? And you'd probably say no. I'd be like clapped out. But I'm feeling fitter, stronger, and better now than I was at 30 because I'm better at the techniques. I know how to protect myself better. A lot of I tell you what, you know, not joking aside, Priit's stuff has helped me look after myself better when I'm training. I know safe positions to go in, and I know safe positions to transition to, and still be competitive in a role, not just lie there like a dead seal. I can actually do something with it, and I think that's the gift that he's given us. But basically, yeah, I think by being better, and you're a black belt, you have a different perspective on how you train and how you roll compared to when you were a white and blue belt. When we were white and blue belts, unless you were exceptional, if you were like me, if you carried on that way for 10 years, you would be a broken man by now.
Yeah.
But I've, either by force or by just through, repetition of injuries, we've now learned to do it. So I can't see how I can, touch wood, I can see myself being the same as I am in 10 years' time again, because I've reached a level where I'm not rolling in a way that I feel that I could really cause injury. I guess some would argue, well, you're not being very competitive, Seymour, or you're not giving your all. But why would you give your all to do a technique to the point where you're hurting yourself and potentially your training partner, when there are better, smarter ways to do something? And I think Jiu-Jitsu is big enough for you to be able to do that. Yeah.
It's all about doing the clever thing, isn't it, Jiu-Jitsu? To me, it's
smart stuff, yeah.
It's not about just piling in there and, mashing yourself to pieces, and at the end of the round just go, give them a slap on the back and go, great stuff, let's do it again. It's that's for young men. What I really value these days are clever, intelligent ways to do things that don't injure you and don't require enormous amounts of strength, and just the little details and the subtle things, which is that's what I think Priit's seminar was great for, is the little subtle things he was doing all the time that just make the difference between having to force something and not having to do almost anything. Because a lot of the time he just lay there and he just nullified everything I did, and it was like, oh wow. That's great.
Yeah, it does. I think there is a bit of a steep learning curve with his stuff, but once you're over that, it suddenly all clicks into place and it makes sense. But there's techniques now that I just, for years and years I've tried, and it just doesn't click. I can't do it. You ask me to drill it and teach it, I can. Stuff like deep half guard, absolute nightmare. I can't do it. Don't want to do it.
I can't do it either.
Nick used to be obsessed with the deep half, so he'd teach it a lot. So we drilled it a lot.
But he was a big guy, right? He was a long guy.
Yeah, lanky and tall, but not necessarily that heavy. But he loved it, and I tried to do it. People do it on me, and I think, great, nice deep half. Oh, you swept me, well done. I try and do it back, hopeless.
Yeah.
Worse than a white belt, can't do it. And so I just wiped that out from my... I'm not even going to put that as one of my, bucket list techniques I have to do. But stuff like K-guard, which is fairly new, absolute taken to it like a duck to water, because it's no different from closed guard or spider guard or, all these guards where your legs are out there. Just watch a couple of tutorials, bang, using it next day successfully, and it's just brilliant. But whereas some people might think, I can't do K-guard, it's too weird. You're doing all that, dropping your knee to the ground and your legs are dangling in the air. I can't do all that. I think, yeah, but it's so easy. But to them, half is easy. So it's funny how there's horses for courses. Black belts aren't expected to be experts at everything, are we?
No. I mean, I can't do deep half either. I'm convinced myself that it's a technique for people that are quite tall or tall or big.
We've got a couple of little dudes, small, about my size, doing it, no problem at my club, because right. Sandeep, bless him, Sandeep's obsessed with deep half, so he's been teaching it a lot, so they've been picking up on it.
Oh, that's nice, because I've never seen a small dude do deep half.
They love it. Yeah, no, they love it. Well, at least they try it anyway. It seems to be their go-to move. But anyway, that's just one example. I think there is stuff that I like doing. But it's like a lot of people hate spider guard because it burns their fingers. They just won't do it. Sleeve and column at the most. But really, making spider guard your go-to open guard, they just don't, I just don't see it a lot. But for me, it's just normal. I don't, you see me teach it at Jun's place, and I love it. I love all the options it gives you. So it's horses for courses, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a butterfly guard sort of guy, because I think it's just the shape of my legs and everything. Everything I do seems to come back to butterfly guard. Like, even if I start doing lapel guard, I do it with like a lapel through the leg, but then I go shin to shin, and so it's like a hook. So it's still butterfly guard, even though it's a lapel thing. Everything I analyse it later and go, really, I'm just doing butterfly in different versions. That's my whole game. But I mean, it just works for me. And I try and teach butterfly to people, and some people just it's just like it's an unnatural movement and they can't do it. So I think, like you say, horses for courses.
Well, that's the beauty, isn't it? The breadth of the sport that we do is big enough. Like Jun won't touch footlocks at all. He's just not into it at all, and he doesn't want to. Yeah, Jun, he has almost like a phobia of footlocks. He thinks they're hyper dangerous. And my mission every time I go down to the Grappathons or his Artemis seminars is to just play a little footlock with him, but he doesn't like it at all. And I think, and the old why ignore 50% of the body thing is so true. I'm thinking, but you're missing out, dude, on so much fun and opportunities to attack and also defend. So I've been trying. It's my mission to try and convince him otherwise.
I like doing footlocks. It's always a bit like you're dabbling in the dark arts, isn't it? Whenever you start footlocking, depending on your club. But I remember the days if you started trying to
not these days.
But I remember back in the day when you used to start playing around the feet, you'd kind of get like people going, "Oh, we don't do that." And it's like, well, maybe you should.
Yeah.
But these days it's a bit different.
I like my wrist locks as well. So,
I never find people have a problem with wrist locks. I always read about this thing.
You get a laugh, don't you? You get a funny response. You always get a jokey response.
But yeah,
every gym has its culture, I suppose.
It's true. I mean, and if you never get out of your gym, you don't realise that there's you go to a different gym and it's entirely different. Like everything's, it throws you a bit sometimes. I've been to seminars and like at the end of the seminar, that last sort of half hour, they just say, "Okay, now we'll roll." And so you're suddenly rolling with a load of dudes from other gyms, and everything just feels so different. It takes you a while just to kind of go, oh well, actually no, I get what he's doing now. It's just a slight sort of different variation of what I'm used to.
What I find when there was a period where I was visiting a lot of gyms, either on holiday or just they invite me over and I just do a random road trip. And for me, what struck me is the physicality of people from other gyms. When you roll with them, it takes a few moments to get used to it. Nobody ever grips and lets you do the first move. They just want to they're not necessarily being mean or spazzy or forceful, but it's just there generally has been a lot more physicality that maybe I'm used to because of my training partners. I know what they're going to do, so if they apply the same level of force, I can almost anticipate it and then deal with it accordingly. But when it's the new set of hands on you, and if they apply, there's always a different way of the push-pull, different way they do things, and then your body takes just a microsecond of, whoa, cool, bit strong there, mate, and then but he's not being strong. He's just doing it what he normally does with his teammates. So each gym culture has a slightly different vibe, but rolling with new people, and I think that's the shock people get with competition. That first wave of adrenaline rush, that first grip, that fight or flight instincts, and that can be quite daunting for newcomers to the competition scene.
How do you find the whole sort of teaching versus practicing thing? Because mainly you're split, aren't you? You're doing your teaching in one area, and then when you train in your sort of closed environment, it's just practicing. How do you find that?
At the moment, the setup I have is perfect for me. I love it. So when I teach twice a week, I'll sometimes roll with the students if there's odd numbers. If there's even numbers, I feel that I don't want to pull someone out. You know, the students are paying a lot of money to just let them roll, and better still, I can oversee, and then I'm of better use seeing all the people rolling and then giving feedback at the end of the session, rather than sparring with someone and I can't see what the hell anyone else is doing. And secondly, there's a safety thing. Somebody might injure themselves and they don't get to see it. So I'll try to roll with students, but only if there's odd numbers. And for my own personal training, I say every Monday I'll roll with my buddies in their home garage. But I don't have a gym to go to. I haven't been to Mill Hill for a couple of years, and since Nick passed away, I haven't really kept in touch with the academy there. I believe there has been some personnel changes anyway, so I wouldn't know anyone there if I did turn up. And in any case, I don't know, it's really weird. We talked about this the other day, but I don't want to sound arrogant or conceited, but I'm so used to teaching a class that when I turn up to somebody else's class and I have to sit through their instructional portion, all I'm thinking about is I can't wait to spar, which is not a black belt thing actually. I started thinking that from purple belt, definitely brown belt onwards. All I wanted to do was spar because I wanted to work on stuff that I wanted to work on. I didn't necessarily care about having to use the technique of the day, which is like, great, omoplata, okay, I wanted to work stuff that I was excited about, stuff that I'd saw on video, stuff that somebody else had shown me, or a seminar I'd just come back from. And that's the value of open mats. I think open mats are one of the most important things a club, at least a full-time club, can offer its students. The chance to work their stuff in a relaxed environment with people of their choosing without any stress or even time limits. I've been to open mats, there's no time limit, and I've rolled for an hour, solid. No breaks, just an hour. I pick a black belt, I haven't seen you for ages, let's have a roll. And it's like 45 minutes to 60 minutes of rolling. We have a drink of water, have a laugh, and then we roll for another half an hour, and that's me 1.5 hours done. that is, after blue belt, that's about the best thing you can offer a student in terms of their intellectual and jiu-jitsu development. So that's what I liked. For me, my Monday sessions with Jason and Gosha, which I film on video and I put on YouTube, just because I think, well, since I've got no teacher, I'm going to teach myself. So I film all my rolling,
yeah,
and then I spot all my mistakes and spot the things I'm trying to work and trying to get, and then I narrate them and I put them on YouTube for my own benefit. But I've got a few followers, and some people say they're useful. And
okay.
From there, I started putting some of the Priit stuff that I'm doing, and I take my better videos, then I put it on the Defensive BJJ website. I go, hey Priit, this is my latest update of my development with the Running Man or whatever. Yeah. And then when he breaks it down, you're thinking, oh, I thought I did quite well, but he found like 100 things wrong with it. Because he's so analytical, he'll literally comment on every minute detail of your role.
Yeah.
And then it's back to the drawing board. So that's been super useful for me. I get it that not everyone is in that position, but for me that's been super useful. That being said, I do miss the structure of being a student at a club again. I like that camaraderie, and I like that idea where I can meet a whole bunch of other people who I see week in, week out, and have a good variety of roles. So there is a couple of clubs I'm thinking of, turning up on an joining as a member, but not necessarily being a regular face there. Especially, I want to compete at the UK BJJ International in October, so I definitely need to up my training towards them. So I've got to pick somewhere to go. I mean, it's not. I guess I could use my club, but where's the value in me sort of dominating a bunch of white belts and blue belts? Although some of the blue belts are getting quite good now. Whereas I need to roll black belt rules. Do you know what I mean? I need to roll with another black belt who can defend my, toe holds and my knee bars and do the same back to me. And I can get that in a couple of clubs around my area. I just got to sort of, be committed to it. But yeah, I think like we discussed, that sort of element, I don't have a huge incentive to turn up and act like a blue belt student learning how to do deep half again. Been there, done that. I know I'm shit at it. I don't want to do a whole lesson of it. I just want to roll.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in open mats and a less structured environment. But then, I can't. If it's somebody else's club, I can't tell them how to run a class. So, I'll shut up and just sit quietly and wait my turn.
Yeah, I'm the same. I feel like I'm really lacking a open mat environment at the moment.
Do you not have one at your place?
There is one, but it's in the day, so it's a bit hard to get to.
You get your lunchtime crowd coming down, and
yeah, it's before the lunch class basically. So I'm envious of your setup of having somebody to like that little closed loop you've got.
I think I'm very, very fortunate. I'm very lucky. Jason's a very good purple belt. He's slightly bigger than me and stronger than me, so physically it's a challenge. But also technically, he's as good as me in terms of the stuff we can do. He's got numerous titles at the English Open and European. He's got European golds and stuff. So he knows the game. He's a very wily character. And his wife Gosha, she was actually my student in Bournemouth BJJ days as a white belt. And during lockdown, she just trained every day with her husband. So he was kind of like teaching her. Yeah. So when I rejoined their fray, she was like, "What the hell? You're killing me here." And she learns a different way. She doesn't seem to learn as efficiently when there's an instructor doing this is our technique of the day, you put your arm here, blah, blah. She'll watch something on YouTube. I know it sounds wrong, but she'll watch something on YouTube, talk to her husband about it, he'll have a point of view, they'll drill it, they'll come back and then use me as the guinea pig. So I turn up going, "All right guys, ready for a roll," and she'll do some fantastic crazy thing. Yeah. And I go, what the hell's this from? And she'll just go, "Oh, I just saw it on YouTube. It was like the technique of the day on this channel." I'm thinking, YouTube. So she's picked up a whole repertoire of techniques, as well as developed her overall game just through regular training. Yeah. And what's even worse for me is she's now joined a club in Barnet, so she's training there regularly. She's now got a proper student. She's now like proper student. And she's hanging with the other blue belts really, really well. She's coming back double more proficient and battle tested. So my Mondays are now becoming a headache because I can't just axe my little, I'm a black belt. It's a black belt technique. No. It's a very, very good competitive 1 hour of open mat rolling with those two, and I'm really appreciative. So I've definitely benefited from that without a doubt.
And to go back to a point you mentioned earlier, I've done the same thing as you. I've been to open mats and rolled for an hour non-stop, and it's not been a problem. Like because it's more of a playful environment, whereas you do like the normal 25-minute, half an hour rolling session in your normal class, and it's split into 6-minute rounds, and I'm kind of wasted after 2 rounds.
Yeah.
But
it's different level of intensity, isn't it?
It's the intensity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Open mat is just so much more conducive to learning, I think.
It's you need that mixture. One thing I always like to mention to people students who ask me, what's the best video to watch? Who's the best? What's the best instructional to buy? This and that. Because as you know, I review a lot of stuff, and it's no secret anymore. A lot of people pick up new stuff by watching instructionals. That's how we spread our knowledge, right? And I say to them, well, you can learn a lot through instructionals. You've got to have the time to practice them, not necessarily drill them, but an opportunity to use them. I don't drill techniques at all. I never drill stuff. I just, when I see something, let's say, for example, K-guard, right? I just watch it going, oh, that's the concept. And then I just try it in sparring. And
Yeah,
if
me
I'll
too.
fuck it up for the first few times, next time I go, I'll try it again. And then maybe the third time, I'll get it. And then it's the beginning, and I'll start to get bits more and more of it. Like with Priit stuff, I just watched I didn't even buy his Fanatics title, I just watched whatever he put on YouTube, tried it, maybe got a glimpse of it working, but there's no way you're going to try it first time and it working properly like the way he shows it. But I thought there's something in there. Then I bought all his titles on the Fanatics. They were on daily deals anyway.
Yeah,
And I
me too.
studied them really hard. And that's why I write reviews. It forces me to watch videos and analyse them well enough to be able to write a review that would be useful to the reader. And I used to do a lot of reviews, so I don't know if you followed my blog back in the day. But,
your review of his turtle thing was brilliant, because in fact I used to refer, when I wanted to go back and check something, I didn't go back and check his instructional, I went back and checked your review, because you explained it in so succinctly, in such a logical way, that it was, for me, it was better than actually watching him do it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess as a writer, part of your job is to reinterpret a scenario, a situation, or a fact, or an incident in a manner that you think fits your readers. So you'll do it with your in your industry, and I'll do it with mine. And I do read, again, going back to some of my older stuff, I cringe because it was less of that. But I think these days now I'm much better at communicating jiu-jitsu in word form as well as visuals to people who, not necessarily white belts, just to anyone who's interested in what I have something to say. It used to be about, look at me, I'm showing off with my new DVD on this one, and hey, this is a cool. Now I'm really. Another thing is, people used to send me stuff. They get like, Seymour, would you like a free gi if you promise to review it? Yeah, sure, okay, I'll review it. But you can never take the sort of bias out of that.
No.
So now I don't take anything for free. I'll buy it, and if I think it's worth reviewing, I'll review it, and I'll review exactly my words, the way I want to. So so all Priit stuff I bought. He's never given me anything. I paid for defensive BJJ. The K-guard stuff, I bought a ton of stuff. I wanted to do a deep dive. I'm never going to buy anything on Deep Half because I'm not. No, I'm not going to waste my money. If you gave me 10 free DVDs right now saying, look, we heard what you said about Deep Half. We're convinced that you'd be no, I'm not going to do it.
No,
I've been there, I've done that, I've done years of it. I'm not going to. And
I feel like we need a T-shirt. We need no Deep Half Zone T-shirt, don't we?
I could be taken the wrong way to the uninformed though. That's another problem you have as an artist, right? There's no way you can draw any jiu-jitsu technique without making it look somewhat sexual. To a non-informed viewer. Because every T-shirt I have, every rash guard, I show my sister, who doesn't know anything about jiu-jitsu. She goes, "Why is that bunny rabbit effing a kitty?" I said, "They're not effing each other. They're doing. It's a kezakatami. Do you not even know what that?" Because no, it just looks like they're doing something rude. I don't want you wearing that when the kids are out. So what?
No.
I get that, and then you get certain, especially when you're drawing anthropomorphic animals. Sometimes they can look a bit. I don't know why. They always end up looking a little phallic just because of the shape of the head and the body. Like if you took a silhouette of my latest orangutan, the shape is.
I'll never be able to look at your rash guards again. You've ruined this for me now. This is it. This is the end of my
drawing process. Is you have to
Meerkatsu.
mask out certain things, and you look at the pure silhouette, going, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
I once drew a commission. It was a blue-ringed octopus, but I did it all fancy schmancy style, where all the tentacles are weaving, and it ended up looking like this.
Yeah.
With a dot in the middle and a line in the middle, and then tentacles coming out. And my wife said, "You've just drawn the female anatomy." And I was going, "No." Oh, shit.
Should I have? Yeah.
So I showed a few other people going, "Well, Seymour, to be honest, anything jiu-jitsu-y looks a bit vulgar and sexual if you think of it in that way. So just do your thing." So I've not had a problem in terms of comment on that one, but I don't put that in my portfolio, put it like that.
No.
You know, there are some kids who follow me, so I don't really want to make a deal out of it.
No. That's it. I can never look at your artwork again now.
The interesting world of the Jiu-Jitsu illustrator. I tell you what, when I first started, right, when I first started being known as an illustrator, let's say back in 2011, 2012, there was me and probably 2 or 3 others who were doing stuff regularly on a commission basis, like at a professional level, i.e., producing something for output to be sold on retail. I'm not saying that I'm good or anything, and now I look on Instagram, there are just so many people being hired, and not even just, some of them don't even do jiu-jitsu, they just love the sport, but they're really good tattoo artists, say, or they're just really good illustrators, or they're artists, or they're into MMA more, but they can commission for jiu-jitsu stuff. So there's a lot of competition out there in terms of, stuff for me, but in a way that's a good thing. I like to see myself as not just one of the OGs, and that's not even saying a lot, because the scene, so to speak, that subculture of BJJ is not that old, is it? It's probably past 20 years.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu, once the American surf culture got hold of it.
I mean, that's old these days.
Yeah,
that counts as old.
True. I mean, if you look back at some like Art Suave videos, do you remember watching those? The Art Suave videos were probably the first really cool jiu-jitsu lifestyle videos that were out and about. So they show just some dudes surfing, having a barbecue, turning up to training, rolling. Random Gracie would turn up, then rolling. It was really, really cool. There was Art Suave 1 and Art Suave 2. Check them. I think they're probably on YouTube, so you can check them out.
Probably on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, really nice. But I remember watching those before I even did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was hearing a lot about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I got those on dodgy, grainy VHS tapes, and that kind of suckered me into it.
Yeah, I mean, I was never into the VHS era myself. That was before my time in Jiu-Jitsu. So I was doing all sort of Chinese martial arts for, about 20 years before Jiu-Jitsu. So that was my VHS
What's your view
era.
on that now then, with your experience of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
It's funny actually, that photo you took of me and Priit rolling. Well, I weren't rolling, I was just trying to choke him.
Yeah.
I showed it to my Tai Chi teacher, and he said, "Why are you cuddling Phil Mitchell?" Which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, I mean, my Tai Chi teacher is from he was like a doorman, a bouncer, security guard. He's got a Harley Davidson. I wouldn't say he was in a biker gang, but he sort of hung around with those sort of guys. So he's not your typical Tai Chi teacher. He wasn't all about panpipes and flutes and candles and things.
I don't know what a typical Tai Chi teacher looks like.
Well, it's more
I'll
like...
take your word for it.
I mean, it's more like in the yoga world these days, isn't it? But he for him it was a sort of practical self-defense, and he was a jiu-jitsu black belt before he did Tai Chi, so Japanese traditional jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So, and it was back in the 70s he trained, and it was a different world then. It was much more rough and ready than you get these days. So while MMA wasn't a thing, people actually just did fight each other with very little protection or rules or anything. And he's from that sort of era. So that was where I was coming from with Tai Chi. Like, you kind of think it's a... But I mean, he also did like Choi Fat, Kung Fu and other stuff as well. It wasn't just Tai Chi. But I these days, I think it's... Practicing the solo forms is so good for your body after doing jiu-jitsu.
Really?
Absolutely. Jiu-jitsu, you wake up, you're all stiff. You do Tai Chi form a few times, you feel great. You want to go back training. Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest benefit. Is it puts me back in the frame of mind of where I want to go training again, because my body feels good and I'm ready to go.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still. I mean, it's kind of grappling. It's stand-up grappling, really. So I find that skills translate a lot. Like my hand fighting, as we were doing in the seminar from the back, the hand fighting. Everyone I did you had a partner. And he kept saying swap partners. Everyone I did the stuff with would go, "Oh, your hand fighting is really good." And to me, it's just Tai Chi push hands. It's you've
probably got to a level where you're not even thinking of it as Tai Chi. It's just part of your body movement.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking. I'm just sticking to their hand. So wherever they move their hand, I just stick my hand, because I'm used to doing that in Tai Chi, and it really translates well.
I remember rolling at one of the grappathons, and it was a chap who did Wing Chun and BJJ. Actually, Jun introduced me, saying, "Oh, meet so and so. He trains under so and so, and he's a like quite a high level Wing Chun guy, but he's also a purple belt on BJJ." And he did this sort of similar thing where I couldn't actually grab him because he was just deflecting. I said, "Is that Wing Chun?" He goes, "Probably. Don't know. I just do it." It was so ingrained in his system. It wasn't like he was doing that. If it was a Wing Chun class, I'm sure he'd be told off for not doing it properly. But in BJJ, he did whatever was necessary. And I was kind of going, oh, because at the time I was a bit arrogant thinking BJJ was the thing, right? All other martial arts were shit. But I think over time you learn that it's not the whole truth. Don't believe the Gracie line about, you know, this traditional martial art is now defunct. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the way.
Yeah,
there's a lot we can learn.
That's marketing, isn't it? And everyone gets
but there's
suckered
so
in by
much we
marketing,
can learn from other things.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like my love of wrist locks, right? I haven't done wrist locks until I was a black belt, and then I'm remembering all the wrist lock katas we did as a Japanese Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Effectively, it's the same movement. We're just putting it into applying it in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu context. But you know, wrist lock is a wrist lock, right? There's only so ways you. So I think there's a lot. It's up to us really to siphon out the crap, the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, exactly. And what I find is that if I don't really teach Tai Chi anymore. I used to teach it a little bit. I used to do privates as well, which I preferred because teaching a class is like you have to teach the start of the form, and then somebody lasts 4 lessons and they leave, and somebody else comes in. You've got to start again at the beginning.
That's infuriating,
it's just soul destroying. I just couldn't take it anymore. But I taught privates, and that's much better because then you build on last week's thing every time, and you can just keep going forward, which is much better. But then COVID happened, and I stopped teaching, and I just didn't really get back into it again afterwards. But after injuring my hip in Jiu-Jitsu last week, I've been doing a lot of Tai Chi, like more than I normally would do, for its sort of restorative. You know, it gently stretches all the muscles that are overstretched in my hip now. And I thought, well, do you know what? I should teach this again. And I contacted my office work, and I might try and do a lunchtime class. Try and get them to like hire me as an instructor, because I'm there anyway at lunchtime.
What you've highlighted is that thing I talked about with the BJJ, is that during lockdown I wasn't really feeling it about in terms of coming back to running a club. But then when something just slightly tweaks, you get back onto the path, and then you think, oh, I'm really enjoying this again, or I really want to do this again. And that's
exactly. You find your passion for it again, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, but we get distracted easily, isn't it, these days with so many things going on in our lives.
And also, if we're doing something day in day out for too long, you become bored of it, don't you? There's
definitely that. Yeah, there's definitely that in it, but I'm definitely not bored of teaching. I really look forward to each time I turn up to the mat and seeing who turns up, and just I lesson plan quite, because I've got the time only twice a week, and I got time to really lesson plan what would be suitable for this. You got a plan A and plan B lesson plan. So your plan A would be your perfect progression of techniques. And plan B would be if so and so doesn't turn up that you expected to turn up, and so asked questions that you didn't, so you go to plan B. And I've often had to resort to a plan C. So I'm good at thinking on the fly. Like the last Jun's last Artemy seminar, I didn't plan the seminar at all. I just turned up and saying, right guys, you were there, weren't you?
The footlock one?
No, the one after. It was his most recent camp one. Oh, okay.
What's that?
I turned up saying, right, what do you guys want to learn? Because I've got 4 or 5 instant, ready-to-go seminar things in my head.
Right.
Like if anyone plucks me off the street, I could teach. So like I say, you can do footlocks part B. So there's loads of stuff I didn't teach first time. I can do wrist locks. I can do more spider guard stuff. And then I just threw in, I can show you what I know about the Priit stuff, and everyone shot their hand up. Okay, I'll do that. So I quickly ran through what I interpreted to be Priit's 5 positions, which I think we can now call 6 positions because of the mini baby bridge.
Or 6.5, I don't know.
Yeah, and then
Hawking 2.
If you claw this stick, then it's 6.5 and 3/4.
Yeah, he did it.
He doesn't mention the stick much, but
he mentioned the stick
quite funny.
He did the stick on day 2 actually, and
he
had a stick 2.0 or something.
Oh my goodness!
And I think it was basically going from mini baby bridge into stick back to mini baby bridge, which
That
somehow
could work,
made the
because you're
stick
quite linear, aren't you, in mini baby
Yes,
bridge? You're quite
yeah.
straight, so I can imagine just
Yeah, but it made a change to the stick in some subtle way that I can't quite remember. But
okay.
I think if you just did it, you would naturally do the stick a little bit differently. But yeah, we did that, and we also did turning round inside back control so that you were in their guard, and how to do that, which was a bit stick like.
Yeah.
So as in you don't break the hooks away. You just
Right.
turn within. You rotate within their back control completely.
Are you in mini baby bridge or hawking? You can't be in hawking.
You start in. I think you start in hawking actually. So
Okay.
the underhook top side.
Right.
Yeah, you start an underhook top side, and then you spin within their guard. So you turn into
Okay.
them. Yeah. And then after that we did underhook bottom side, which is much harder. And he jokingly said, "I don't really have an answer to this. I just want you to go and experiment and just send us off for 10 minutes to try and have a go at it."
I like that actually. I think that's refreshing. There were a couple of times on day one where you said, "I don't have an answer."
Well, what
for
happened
this."
was a couple of the guys came back with really good solutions, and he said, "Right, I'm stealing that. I will try and credit you, but I'm going to steal that because that's really good." A guy called John, shout out to John at the seminar. He was training with presumably his girlfriend or a girl who was wearing a full body Meerkatsu outfit.
The tiger stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they knew it was me, because nobody talked to me. Nobody approached me.
They're probably too shy. Oh my god, it's him! I can't talk to him. It's him.
I'm not really kind of a person to be shy to, is it? It's just little me.
Yeah.
Guys, if you see me at a seminar, don't be shy. Just grab me and say, "Oh, you that Seymour Meerkatsu fella?" And I go, "Yes." And that'll be it.
Like your drawings.
I have no airs and graces, honestly. You've seen me.
Well, you were so in disguise though, because you were wearing
that's true.
non-descriptive clothing. So.
Yeah, the story to that is, and I don't mind saying this, is that I've suffered a bit of eczema on my skin, or what I believe to be eczema, or so my dermatologist tells me. And I'm just trying to reduce some of the chafing that you get with some of the seams on the rash guards and the gis and that sort of thing. So I started wearing bamboo fibre and ultra rich cotton, organic cotton stuff, which is smoother on the skin. But unfortunately they soak up sweat like anything, so it feels like we're wearing a wet towel, whereas rash guards wick it away. So I've yet to find a good solution. Unfortunately you can't really print on bamboo very well.
Oh, can't you? That's a shame.
No, you can't.
I was going to say.
I was thinking. It wouldn't be nice
bamboo.
if I made it wouldn't be nice if I made a lineup, a rash guard. But it's just, I've seen other companies do it, and it's awful. So the whole point of bamboo is supposed to be more eco-friendly, because it's cheaper, more environmentally friendly to grow bamboo. But unfortunately, it does use a lot of chemicals in the processing. Although allegedly the factories are improving that aspect. But it's certainly less pesticides and fertilizers involved in growing the bamboo people thinking bamboo's like what the panda eats, but it's bamboo for industry is quite a different product. I did botany at university, so I get quite geeky about these things. It's still at the end of the day melted down and reformulated into an almost synthetic fibre, a bit like polyester, and then that's woven into the garment. So people think they're getting a natural fibre, and they would say it's semi-synthetic. Anyway, the point is, it is actually smoother on the skin, and it's quite nice. If you have sensitive skin, it's quite good to wear. So I use that for my.
So what about cotton? Is that not equally
cotton's all right.
natural?
The problem with cotton is it doesn't hold its shape to people grabbing.
Ah, right. Okay.
It gets very, very much heavier when it's wet. It doesn't wick the sweat away. So wearing that under a gi is torture. You must have worn a t-shirt at some point, under a gi, and just thought, this is horrible.
It's hot. It's hot, isn't it? You feel hot.
But a bamboo fibre doesn't quite have that. It's got all the benefits of lycra and polyester, and all the benefits of cotton. Plus, it's allegedly antimicrobial, so it won't smell. It doesn't have a funk after many months of usage, allegedly.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just me. I still wear rash guards and stuff, and obviously I make them, I promote them. There's nothing wrong with wearing them. It's just for me. I just have to temper it a bit different with my training.
Hmm.
And a 5-hour seminar with Priit, I figure, against people I don't know, they might rough my skin up. I think I'd just wear something a bit safer.
That was the thing, wasn't it? Is he taught for 5 hours? But the day lasted 7, and he taught through all the breaks as well.
I don't think he had any break. I never saw him go to toilet or have a drink of water.
No.
He was a machine. Maybe he is a machine. We've discovered his secret. He is a machine.
He must be. I saw him have a coffee on the second day. Somebody got him a coffee from downstairs and brought it up.
The visage is cracked.
Yeah, but that was the only thing I saw him drink. Didn't see him drink water.
By the way, just off topic, I started watching. Do you like? Are you a fan of animations? Because
some of them, yeah.
Do you watch the Netflix Love, Death and Robots? That one.
Yes, I watched the first one.
I've just realised they released season 3, so I started watching a couple of those, and one of them has a really interesting premise, in that because I work in a science-based company, I'm a bit of a space geek as well. I'm a geek on lots of things. This was a really interesting bit of science fiction. This astronaut landed on the moon of Io, which is one of the big moons of Jupiter, I believe.
Yeah.
And because it's very electrically charged moon, it's very connected to Jupiter, because Jupiter is so massive, the gravitational force. But the way it works, the storyline was that Io is not actually a planet; it's a machine. The way that the electricity flows around it, and the way the magnetic poles work, it becomes a machine. And I thought that was really, really fascinating. I thought you'd be into that kind of thing,
like a big battery or something.
Something like that. I don't want to spoil it if you want to watch it, but I thought that was one of the best little shorts I've seen for a long time. Really, good sci-fi should really, like you talked about your philosopher's text thing, should really fire the imagination.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have to be described so explicitly for you. You should have that room for your imagination. And I think Jiu-Jitsu is kind of the same. You shouldn't be prescribed the technique and it must be done this way, because you're going to do it differently to me, because we're both different body types. And there has to be allowing room for creativity and a bit of imagination. I think Priit allows that. Priit pretty much says in a lot of videos, I'll leave you to interpret how you want to do it, but this is how I do it, and it has to be precise in that respect. But after that, what's his phrase? Says, just go YouTube it. Here's the first bit. You can figure out the rest. So I think, okay.
Yeah,
that's what I like though. I like that. I want to be allowed.
I think
he
was saying that like if you use my stuff and survive, you get in a position where suddenly all the YouTube techniques are actually possible. Instead of like, how do you get there to do that technique? Like, he's like the gateway to YouTube.
It is. Yeah, finally.
Although there's that Raoul bloke, one of his students, Raoul, who the leg locking guy, who entered that tournament and used the Priit system plus leg locks. I don't know if you've seen that video.
Yeah, no, I reviewed his stuff, and it really opened my eyes. I just started using leg locks from Turtle, just trying to bait them into it, and from, not Running Man, not Hawking, one of the others, Panda, I think, against my training partners. But I didn't know if it was just me and my specific... So when I saw him do it at an elite level, I thought, oh, there's something there. Because if you think about it, when you're turtling, and if they're in the right position, you can see their feet. And if you can see their feet and touch them, you've got a leg.
Yeah, well, that's what tellers used to do back in the day, wasn't it? From Turtle, like if their foot was between your legs, he'd roll for that knee bar.
Yeah.
So that was the beginnings were there. I mean, I was always, before Priit, I was always into tellers, and I'd watch him roll and compete, and I just loved. He's so relaxed and like uncaring about what happened to him. And I was like, I want to be like that. I don't know what he's doing, but that is what I want to be like.
Have you seen his instructionals? He's so laid back when he teaches.
Yeah, I have. I've got a couple of them.
Definitely will fall asleep by the end of it. If you want a bedtime story, just put him on and you just be going, you wake up and octopus guard, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, then we do this, and then we do this.
Dry, and it's like, wow.
But he just seems to be like floating through life, doesn't he, Tellers? And then he gets on the jiu-jitsu mat and he doesn't seem to change. He just sort of floats through the role. He's
definitely a pioneer, old school pioneer, that's for sure, and he deserves more recognition for sure.
Lovely. Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Anytime, mate. If you think of an interesting topic that we haven't covered today, I'm happy to do another, but I think
Man, I feel like we could just chat, we could just do another one.
Well, next time
In a few
I
months.
go up to Bristol, pop down to the Grappathon or one of the seminars and stuff, and we'll hang around afterwards for a bit.
Yeah, I'll come to the Grapplethon. It's in June, isn't it?
All right, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah, pleasure, and catch you very soon. All right.
Cheers. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you for joining us. You can find out more about the Tai Chi Notebook podcast at www.thetaichinotebook.com. You can support us by giving our podcast a positive review on iTunes and our page a like on Facebook. Just search for the Tai Chi Notebook to find us. Until next time, enjoy your training.